Well, Mary, it's been dry, hasn't it?
Yeah, Nancy. We've got a really nice little intermittent stream that runs through part of our farm. And about a week and a half ago, my husband came home and said, well, it doesn't make it to the town road. And then I noticed day before yesterday, the water doesn't leave the farm.
Oh my goodness.
So it's dry,
been.
very dry.
Well, our topic today is going to concern water. And I've gotten, you ever seen one of these?
No, what is that?
This, my son.
Learn something new.
Yeah,
every
my
day.
son Aaron worked in China for 3 years, and he was always bringing back these really interesting things. Oops, I got to start our timer too.
We got a starter timer here on. What are we doing today?
This is going to be a mini
History files.
Yeah, for all you people that can't take us in more than short doses. This, he said he got this and he brought it back. And what this is, that if you shake it, it's supposed to increase the chances of it raining.
Well, you better do that because we need it. We are really dry.
We are, so I should be shaking this a lot, I guess.
We're going to leave it up to Nancy to bring on the
Yeah.
rain. We could use about 2 inches over 3-4 days.
I guess so. And I don't even know, this looks like it's some kind of bamboo, and I don't know what's inside of it, some kind of seeds, but...
Now, are you supposed to do it like in accordance to the moon cycle? Because we're coming up on a full moon again, aren't we? Pretty quick?
So, yeah. Well, it didn't come with instructions.
Oh, it did no instructions. So
Sorry.
you're going to have to get a hold of Aaron and say, okay, where's the on button?
Yeah. What we're going to talk about today is a big flood that they had in Trempealeau Valley, and that was in the beginning of April 1956. And at the time, they kept referring to it as being the worst flood since 1919.
Okay.
So that had been another really dilly, I guess. But it was the worst flood in Trempealeau County, at least in the whole Trempealeau Valley. And, you know, it never said anywhere if it was rain. It sounded more like it was melting snow and ice chunks.
Okay.
But it affected not only Hickston, Blair, didn't say anything about Whitehall. Independence, Arcadia really took it on the chin.
The Arcadia always gets pounded.
And Dodge, so it was bad.
Yeah, that's quite substantial.
Wait a second.
No, this we can't chew on. This we're just gonna take a little break in the action here, and this needs to go up high.
Okay. Can't you just sit down and watch?
Yes. Okay, here we go. We've got. Oh, there goes a knee. Okay, Zip, come on over here. You sit down, pay attention to what's going on with the flood.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
But I found some pictures in this old newspaper from 1956, and it was talking about this terrible flood. It talked about how it affected all the different towns, and it said the hardest hit was Arcadia. And at that time, Arcadia had 1,900 inhabitants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it started at Hickston because the Hickston Dam gave way, and that said it was adding to the already swollen stream.
Whereabouts was the dam in Hickston?
That's a good question. And it said that the dam was located on the property of H.P. Chenoweth.
Oh, Chenoweth.
Yes, and he had recently petitioned the state for permission to remove the dam because it was no longer safe or useful.
Well, I guess an ice flow is going to show you if it's got merit or not.
Right, and so it said that Hickston was cut off from Black River Falls.
Okay.
And then all that water came downstream. It came to Blair, and it said at Blair they had National Guard out evacuating families from town, and it said heavy damage was reported at the lumberyard and the feed mill.
Okay, and we all know where those were.
Right. So that was
right off of Lake
bad enough in Blair.
Right off of Lake Henry there.
Yeah. Didn't say anything about Whitehall.
This one, see, she's been missing being the star of the show.
I guess so. She's all pent up.
Are you all worried about the flooding? You are. Yeah. Not today. Okay.
Get down.
Down.
And then it also
Tough love.
about Pigeon Falls. It
Oh,
said
okay.
That, the gates at the dam in Pigeon Falls broke at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And it said that gates had been partially lowered to stem the rising of the Pigeon Creek, but after the gate broke, the water just flowed into town.
Well, a number of years back, they had to open up the floodgate in Pigeon, and it flooded our Valley Road.
I'll bet.
It was like this wall of water, and holy cow,
Yeah.
it was scary to see that Valley Road closed because there's families up in there,
Sure.
and ours was one of them. And, emergency, how do you get the vet across the river?
Yeah.
How do you get the milk truck across the river? Because it was deep and it was scary.
Well, in 1956, it said that the Mill Bridge, the bridge where you go out of town, which is
Yep.
probably different than what's there today.
Yes.
But that was moved 10 feet off its foundation by the water.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. And that the water flowed into the bank, and also they had to sandbag the Pigeon store.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was bad in Pigeon. And you don't always hear about Pigeon flooding, but
Right.
that time it did. And it said the dam at Pigeon actually took in water from a 74 square mile drainage area.
Yeah, the Pigeon Creek watershed, it's pretty sizable.
Well, it must have been.
Yeah, it goes all the way, a big slough, it heads all the way back over to Taylor. It covers a lot of geography.
So here's this big wall of water and ice coming down the stream. So Pigeon Creek ran into Trempealeau River, and that kept coming. Now, it doesn't say anything about Whitehall, but then when it got to Independence, and this is a good picture. I mean, the water was just raging, and here these people are standing up there in that bridge looking at it. I don't know if I would have.
Wow.
But yeah.
That is
So,
incredible.
I got to read. I don't remember if they opened the dam.
It looks like...
Yeah, it said it smashed the dam, and the water rushed. The gates had been lowered to hold back the water, but the water broke the planking, and the last of the gates was broken at 2 in the afternoon, and then the water raced toward the Green Bay and Western tracks,
Yep,
and
that's the first trestle.
closed the road. Highway 121 between Whitehall and Independence was closed, and schools were closed, and it was just
a mess.
A big mess. Because I'm sure there was water coming down, into Elk Creek,
Right.
where the lake is today.
Well, just a couple years back, they had that pop-up, I don't know, it was a weird storm that came through the Elk Creek watershed.
Yeah.
And they ended up with
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 inches in a matter of 2 or 3 hours.
I think Travis Valley had 8 inches.
Yes,
And-
it was just a weird storm that dumped a whole truckload of water.
It was a mess.
And, the Elk Creek watershed is,
That's a big one, too.
72 or 78 or 79,000 acres.
It's huge.
And so that's a big drainage
Yeah.
area.
So now here's all this water coming down the river to Arcadia, and they said this is a picture of what Arcadia looked like, and this was taken, I guess, up in an airplane, and they were looking. It said they were looking northwest, and they said that the water came all the way up to what was the school at that time. Where the old school is down below. It came all the way up there. And a lot of these businesses had 3 foot of water in their stores.
Wow, incredible.
And the Vogue Theater was underwater.
Yeah, I remember going to the theater.
And they had to pin up, they had that big curtain in the Vogue, the big, open. They had to run in there and pin that way up so it wouldn't get wet.
Well, I suppose to be ruined.
Yeah, it was a huge amount of water coming into Independence, and as you can tell, or into Independence, but Arcadia too. You can tell that Arcadia was really, once again, they were really underwater. It just said that the basements of many businesses were flooded. There was 3 feet of water covered the floor of the Trempealeau County Highway garage, and it was bad. The old bridge near the river. City Park was closed to traffic, and they had a little deer park there, and they had to let the deer go and everything.
Wow.
So it was major.
In poor Arcadia, they seem to, they drain, I'm sorry, Arcadia.
All that water comes down the river.
You're the flashpoint for the entire Trempealeau River watershed.
It comes down there, and this was a picture of their main
Main Street
looking east.
Now, would you drive? You're not supposed to drive through floodwaters, okay?
I don't know what these guys are doing. I wouldn't have done that.
And wherever there's flooding on the planet, because now we've got all the technology, everybody's in touch with everything. They always show someone who just, I'm going to drive through it.
I got a big truck, I can make it.
And it never turns out the way they anticipate it's going to. No, and I'm not saying that the cars in 1956 weren't, built with some gusto, but he's driving through 2.5 feet of water.
Well, I know, and
or she, whoever was driving the car.
It does not identify them, but it just says that it was severely flooded, with 3 feet of water in a basement or in a store. That's quite a bit.
And imagine the cleanup.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not just water. It's water, sand, and whatever was in your basement.
Yeah. And then from here it went down to Dodge. And I've got to read this I found this little snippet about Dodge that Mrs. Emil Glenzinski, who was the correspondent to the paper, wrote about Dodge. And they said the village... they wrote this on April 12th, and they said that Dodge was returning to normalcy after this heavy flood, and they talked again about being similar to the big flood of 1918, 1919, when I guess they had an epic flood. Just a second. What is my dog? Don't chew on things. Can't you just sit?
Someone's struggling with not getting enough attention today.
Whatever.
She says it's not supposed to snow in April.
No. And it talked about the John, and I might not say it's a big, long Polish name, John Grazielewski home was completely surrounded by water.
Wow.
And waters of the river were lapping up at the back porch, and a boat had to be brought out to evacuate the family. And they tied the boat to the front porch.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine that?
And it also said that chickens were rescued just a short time before the chicken coop went floating down the river. And
chickens can't swim.
I know, and then somebody else had to rescue their hog barn and the fences. And Rob Hesley had to move 20 pigs by motorboat, which must have been interesting.
Can you imagine? 20 pigs in a motorboat? I would think they would have to be little piglies. Huh?
I can't imagine they got 20 in there all at one time anyway.
Could you imagine them trying to get out of the boat? And you know how pigs squeal, right?
Yeah.
Especially little pigs, even if you just grab them. A boat, I bet you they knew exactly where he was when he was coming with a boat full of squealing pigs.
So that was 1956, and that was interesting, wasn't it?
Well, and it affected such a large swath, almost the entire county.
Well, it said it was the Trempealeau Valley, because it started up there really in Hickston all the way down to Dodge and beyond. But
that is incredible.
Well, then maybe if I have to, I don't know, the dog, she didn't chew up my rainmaker, but anyway, I better be careful about shaking it, because we don't ever want to have something like this again.
We'll just do 2 shakes for 2 inches. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Although you were kind of shaking it earlier. So you know where to call if there's a problem.
Yeah, blame me in that shaker. All right, well, thank you, folks, for helping us remember the flood of 1956.